Hey there, welcome to another episode of Rocket MSP Podcast. Today I am joined by Ian Alexander from Synchro. Ian, what's happening, man?
Hey, Steve. Long time no see.
It has been a while. Gosh, I think you and I were last on a podcast together at least a year ago. It's been a while. It's been too long, actually. But I had Emily on a few months ago. Emily Glass, your new CEO.
Yep.
She was fantastic to talk to. Um, and then I remember I was working with Crystal, who I don't think she's there anymore.
No, we're still very good friends. She's at
Sure,
GitLab now.
good for her. So, for people that maybe don't know, can you give us just a couple minutes about you, about Synchro?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ian Alexander, one of the co-founders and channel chief at Synchro. Yeah, we're a combined PSA and RMM. We make all of that in one platform, easy to use, combined solution, simple pricing that's just per user. So you get both the RMM and the PSA unlimited endpoints. You just pay based on how many employees you have at your MSP. And there's no contracts or anything like that. It's just month to month. So the idea is that you like the product, and that's why you stick around.
Perfect. And if anyone here is interested in checking it out, I will have a link below in the description or in the show notes, depending on what platform you're on. So that way you can check out Synchro, take it for a little test spin. So, you guys have been around for a few years now, and before Synchro, you ran a company called Repair Shopper, which I guess still technically is a platform.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Synchro has taken Repair Shopper leaps and bounds beyond what its original capabilities were.
Yep.
Um, I know you guys have added some new features recently, like just in the last few months, like Acronis efficiency reports, tons of quality of life changes. Can you speak about some of those features and just kind of fill people in on what those capabilities are?
Yeah. So we launched a partnership with Acronis at the end of last year, very end of last year. And that's been great. Basically gets people awesome pricing on Acronis, so they can back up all of their clients' endpoints. And that's been really good. We've seen good adoption there, and continue to. We get continuous requests for all kinds of new reports. And so we recently launched customer efficiency reports and technician efficiency reports, which are
Hmm,
both great. They let you go and look at, well, your techs and different customers and
sure.
kind of rate them against each other, but then also just see how efficient they are, right? So that you can go and look and see where there are areas to optimize in your business. So they're very revenue focused and help you figure out where to focus your efforts. So those have been great. I know you'll probably have more questions on reports, so we'll wait on that. And then yeah, all kinds of quality of life changes. We've always, since we started the company, loved these little features that do a lot for people. So we're constantly taking those requests from the community, saying, "Hey, what's a little thing we can tweak, add, change, that'll make a big difference in your workflow and your life as an MSP?" So we try to ship those things very, very often. We've got a lot of those that have been coming out. So lots of fun.
Nice. So with reports, you're right. I do have so many questions. Um, what kind of planning goes into coming up with reports besides customer XYZ wants a report?
Yeah, I mean, reports in particular are a little challenging because every MSP, maybe there are like common KPIs that people want to see, but a lot of people think about them slightly differently. So you can
Hmm.
give a report to one person and it doesn't really do anything for another person. And we see that in particular with reports, just the data people want to see varies. So the last 4 or 5 reports we've created have been quite configurable because of that. So not just these efficiency reports, but we basically released report builders right before that that let you customize what you want to see in a report. And that's done a lot. We've actually seen a lot less requests for new reports since we've done that because they're quite customizable. That being said, going forward, I'm currently working on a proof of concept for something. It's a little too early to share, but if that works out, then folks will be able to kind of do whatever they want with their data, make all kinds of charts and tables and things and we won't have to build every one-off report. You'll be able to kind of do whatever you want. So that's the ideal, right? Is you kind of get access to the full data set. You get to do whatever you want with it and build whatever tables and charts. That's what we're working toward, but it's a little too early to share, like exactly how that'll work, or if it'll work. So we'll see.
I gotta admit, I'm intrigued. I'm excited. I'm hopeful that it's something like maybe a dashboard builder where you've got already a great looking dashboard and it's very functional. It'd be great if we could just add some additional gauges and information to the one that's already there. And I hope that's what you're talking about.
Kind of.
All right.
Kind of. We'll see. I don't want to see. The thing is, it might not work out, so I don't want to overpromise.
No, man, I get it. Hey, it's fun to talk and dream about stuff, right?
Yes.
So as we talk and dream about stuff, what kind of other changes are you at least dreaming of in 2023? Anything big?
Well, I think a lot of things, but if you want like themes, we're going to do a lot of UI UX improvements. Starting with the top navigation. That's one of the things we've been working on for a while. We have some early adopters that have been testing that out, giving us feedback. So we're going to do a lot of modernization of the UI. The idea is to reduce the number of clicks that people have to do to do all their common workflows. But we're going to start with the top navigation because that's on every single page. So what the biggest impact first, obviously. So we're starting with that, but it's just the beginning. We're gonna do a lot of UI UX stuff. Yeah, and there's other stuff too. We're gonna be improving the ticket workflow. That's obviously the number one thing people do in the product is answer tickets, right? So gonna make sure that's as streamlined as possible, and lots of other things. But those are the two that come to mind for me.
So when you say UI UX overhaul, one of the things that I hear from a lot of there's like two camps when it comes to any MSP tool: the people that like it and the people that don't, right? And I think those are the two camps everybody hears about. But I think there's a third camp. There's like the people that use it. It's like the best tool for what they need, but maybe they still don't love it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know a better way to describe it.
They like but don't love.
Yeah. So for like those people, a lot of the common things that I hear come from them is Synchro is such a capable platform, but the interface it feels like we're using something antiquated like QuoteWorks.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know if it's that bad, but I think like I think that the biggest issue that I see in it is that it's inconsistent.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of pages that were made by different people over different time frames, like over the years, and there's not a uniformity to how a lot of the pages work. So I think consistency will improve the usability a lot. I also just think it needs a little bit of a visual makeover. It's just like about modernizing the components. It's not that like the button is wrong. It's just that the button looks old.
Right. Yeah. It looks like Windows XP or Windows Vista instead of Windows 10 or Windows 11. And that's the best way to describe it. And I mean, gosh, Repair Shopper, when did that start? Was Windows XP
2012? So
okay,
it
so
was
Windows
using
XP
like
was
the
gone.
original Bootstrap, probably. So I mean, I'm sure it got updated. I know it got updated since then, but there's still a lot of outdated components, So there's work to do there, and we're doing it, and it'll be great.
So do you see is this something that is going to take a couple years or multiple years where you're essentially saying, all right, we're coming up with standardization for what components need to look like when we're building out pages. And then we have to go through every page and just standardize the pages.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to prioritize, right? So we can
Hmm.
tell, okay, this page is used by everyone all the time. For example, the ticket detail page, right, where you are actually working a
Yeah.
ticket, used by everyone all the time, easily the most used page, right?
Hmm.
So pages like that are going to get work done first. So
Sure.
even though, the app does so many things, so yeah, it's going to take a long time if if you're talking about like complete overhaul, but it's not like that's going to happen in a uniform way as far as the user experience goes, right? Because people tend to use like 10 or 15 pages the most. The rest of them they use sometimes. So those pages are much less important.
Well, and I gotta say, you guys are incredible. Like it's almost freaky how often you push out updates. So I'm not saying it's going to be a year before we see anything. I'm just saying it's going to take some time for you
Yeah.
guys to touch every page. But
Yep.
it could maybe be 3 to 6 months before maybe we see, those most common 10 or 15 pages. I don't know.
For
I'm
sure.
pulling.
I mean, we're already putting out some things. Like one of the quality of life improvements this is a really little thing, but a
Mhm,
lot of people have many tabs open in their browser,
mhm,
and the title of the tab on certain tickets was it said like tickets and then the customer name or something, which was not that helpful because if you had many tabs open, you would only just see the word like tickets.
mhm.
So we changed it so you can see the ticket number and that kind of thing in the tab. It's a very small change on our end, but it actually makes a big difference for the workflow of the MSP who's doing many things at once. And they can see at a glance, like exactly which ticket they want to go to.
Oh, that's great.
All those things, those things roll out on a regular basis, and so we're
Mhm.
going to be making all kinds of improvements.
No, that's great, man. So you mentioned there was the UI UX, and then what was the other thing you said you were going to overhaul? Just the tickets?
Well, like the ticketing workflow in particular is so
Hmm.
used that there's a lot of focus going into that. We've also got all kinds of new integrations and stuff coming out, some of which we're working on, but a lot of which other companies are working on against our API, which is cool. So I think you'll see a lot of new stuff coming out. It's going to be fun.
Cool. So what about the cloud? I know a lot of MSPs are really starting to put a lot of emphasis and starting to invest in tools that are able to monitor and manage cloud platforms like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Dropbox, etc.
Yep.
Do you have any plans on adding that functionality or maybe integrating with some of those platforms?
Yeah. So I think it depends on there's a lot you could that's a large, space. So I think there's a
Hmm.
lot you can do there. Acronis, for example, can back up a lot of those products.
Right.
So we already have that, right? Um, I would say that we've looked at some aspects of that. A lot of them probably will happen through integrations. And another example might be like billing reconciliation, which if you buy your licenses through Pax8 or through Ingram Micro, for example, we already have integrations with both where you
Hmm.
can pull your usage counts into Synchro to automate the recurring invoices and stuff like that. So there are already a lot of integrations out there that do those kinds of things. But it really kind of depends like what in particular you're talking about. And I think there's a lot of room to add more.
So I guess I'll elaborate then. There's a lot of emphasis going into more of like MDM style management,
Hmm.
especially with Windows 11 and Mac OS. Do you see Synchro adding some of those functionalities native to try and keep up with modern operating systems and other devices?
I think that's an open, like it's still an open question. And I would dramatically differentiate Apple and Microsoft. Similar situations, but pretty pretty different
Sure.
in other ways. On the on the Apple side, we acquired Watchman Monitoring, so there's a lot of monitoring for Mac OS in there, but there's no MDM.
Hmm.
And I think there's a lot of risk in Apple MDM in general because Apple already owns a an MDM tool,
Hmm.
um, and that's just a lot more of a closed environment. On the Microsoft side, I could totally see an integration with Intune. I could see an integration with a lot of that stuff. It's not on the immediate roadmap, but we're definitely like looking at all of that.
Okay. Um, what is your pricing like these days? I know that you've had a price hike maybe once or twice in the last year, which honestly probably long overdue.
The pricing model is still exactly the same. So there's only one price. Um, you can pay annually or you can pay monthly. It's up to you. But there's no contract. So if you pay on an annual basis, it's 129 per user per month. If you pay monthly, it's 139, and that gets you unlimited. That gets you everything. So you get all the unlimited endpoints, full use of the PSA, etc. Just for 139 a month if you pay monthly.
That's not bad.
No,
And
not bad.
and
And we
that
only
that's
did
literally unlimited endpoints too.
unlimited, yeah. So the thing is, like, we did a price increase, but if you compare us to, I think pretty much anyone, I think we're the most affordable in the market, pretty much. So, yeah, even after the price increase,
Right.
so,
Yeah, so and I'll name drop, and it's not to bash or anything. I think it's fair to be able to compare things. So if someone were to say look at Synchro, Autotask plus Datto RMM, and then ConnectWise Manage plus Automate, Synchro is going to beat those guys every day,
from a pricing
because
perspective,
absolutely
oh
yes.
yeah, it's not even close. People, I remember there was somebody switched to us. They had like 16 techs, and they were on Autotask PSA and Lab Tech, I think. Well,
Hmm.
ConnectWise Manage, and they they not only they not only were able to consolidate the RMM and the PSA into one tool, which saves them time, but they had like five other tools that they were paying for because their RMM and their PSA were separate, right? Like they had to
Hmm.
have a data dashboard because they needed to suck the data in from both into one place so they could reconcile it against each other. They had there were a bunch of different tools they had that basically they got rid of because they just moved to Synchro and it's all in one. So they went from like seven tools to one tool, and they said it was some crazy. They saved like $6,000 a month or something.
That's insane.
So anyway, we see that all the time. And look, we're not trying to get people to switch to us because it's affordable. That's great, but it should be because it's the right platform for your MSP to run your business, right? This is core software. So price is good. It's a reason to check it out, but it shouldn't be the reason people switch.
Sure. However, the software, I would say, at the very least, is good enough for, let's say, maybe an MSP just starting out. I mean, so for some of these companies that are just super small, the pricing is going to make your platform super attractive. For some of these
Definitely.
larger companies, um, I can't believe saving $6,000 a month. I mean, we're talking, good lord, that's a salary.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So they dumped LabTech, Autotask, probably Bright Gauge, probably like WiseSync or Connect Booster or something like that,
Yep.
and who knows what else they dumped.
Yep.
And that alone, like those few things alone covered just the price of the people getting into Synchro. And then they
Yep.
also dumped RMM, which now we're making boatloads of money.
Yeah.
As an
Right.
MSP, think of all the money an MSP is saving. So, what when you talk to MSPs that are considering switching to Synchro, what do you think is the most common reason for them to switch besides price?
I think, well, there are a couple reasons. One of the ones I hear a lot is that they're in some solution like ConnectWise or, any of those uh, long tenured players, and they're using 10% of the platform,
Mhm.
but they're paying for 100% of it. So I think that's like one aspect is because Synchro is an all in one tool, it makes it easier to fully utilize the platform because you don't have to jump between dashboards. There's not like it's just a lot easier. So I think that people want to fully invest in their tools, and switching to Synchro, they can see a path to doing that and really getting embedded. I think the other thing is people want to feel heard. Like there's an emotional level to it too, right? Like these should be feel like partnerships. And we actually care and listen to MSPs, which I know a lot of people say that, but um, we're constantly talking to MSPs and shipping like some of these quality of life things that we talked about all the time. So there's a lot of demonstrable um, actions on our part where people feel heard and listened to. Our company mission statement, for example, is make life better for MSPs. So everybody at our company knows that. Um, so I think that people feel that too. And I think that's another kind of more emotional reason that people want to support a company that also wants to support them.
And one thing that I want to add to that is Synchro is one of the few MSP companies.
Oh, cut out there, Steve. Internet, internet issues. I wonder if it's me that's frozen. Oh, well, I guess I'm hosting now until Steve gets back. I don't know what to tell you guys. You want a dinosaur fact? I like dinosaurs. I can waste time until Steve gets here. I also can't see the questions, so I'd be answering questions if I could, but I'm not. I'm not hosting. There was a dinosaur called Microraptor, early version of a bird, but it had four wings instead of two. That's pretty cool. I don't know how long to stay here. If I can find the live stream of this, and then I can answer questions. We're back.
That was wow. So,
I just hung out. I told people a dinosaur fact.
oh, cool. So, before I get into what I was, no, let me finish my original thought, and then I'll go into fun facts about Steve. Um, what I was going to say is that Synchro today seems to be one of the few remaining platforms that isn't wholly owned by some, major venture capital firm, at least that we know of. Um, at least one of the big evil ones. Uh, so that alone helps it feel like, I don't know, you guys care. You guys are actually making software that we want. Um, and who knows? Maybe you guys will find one that is able to help Synchro keep its culture and just way of doing business without compromising. I would love that for you, because that would be
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the things that is unique about us is the culture internally. I think Emily said this like a couple days ago. It was like, we were thinking about like the top three priorities or whatever. And one of the ones she brought up was like not becoming a soul sucking place to work. So, like, and I think it is like a great place to work, and we have a lot of fun, and there are a lot of talented, awesome people that I get to work with every day. And I think regardless, that is the thing that needs to continue to exist, because MSPs benefit from that, right? Like on the other side of things, that is what enables us to constantly ship things for MSPs that they ask for, et cetera, right? Keep our prices affordable, transparent, no contracts, right? Like those are direct results of that culture.
That's fantastic. And is there, if you had to say one thing to an MSP that's considering switching to a new PSA RMM platform, um, what would that one thing be?
Like just any PSA and ARM platform.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
they're like starting the research process.
Yeah, I mean, I would think about the long term and whether let me back up for a second. What I like to do in decision making is there's like a 2x2. It's how high impact is one of the axes, and then how reversible is the decision is the other axis, right? So if you're making a high impact decision that is irreversible, you better do your diligence, right? If you're making a high impact decision that's very reversible, then if you're doing an A/B test, it's like, well, I can easily adjust that, right? So it helps you kind of figure out how to think about that decision and how much diligence to do. In this case, I think that this is the core software. If you're buying RMM and PSA software for your MSP, this is the core software you're going to use to run your business. If you are signing a long-term contract, that's an irreversible decision.
True.
So I would say, doesn't matter which platform you're picking, whether you're picking Synchro or you're picking something else, just really do your diligence, because it's very hard to switch, right? Especially if you have a long-term contract, and make sure it's the right decision for your business. And then whatever you decide, fully implement it. That's the other thing that we see is people switching to us, and it's like, well, there was nothing wrong with that tool. Like most RMM tools can do a lot of the same things, for example. It's just that people didn't implement them for one reason or another, right? So I would say whatever you pick, really implement it and make it work for your business, and I think that'll make a big difference.
Thank you, Ian. I really appreciate that. And And I got to second that. I've never thought about looking at that. How reversible is the decision. I've looked at impact and gosh, I can't think of what the other axes I might use would be, but never have I thought how reversible is the decision.
Well, that's why a lot of companies, like, even just forget the MSP space, like, they want to have you sign a long-term contract, right? Because it changes that dynamic, right? Whereas with us, it's like, look, you come on Synchro, you don't like it, you can switch.
Mhm.
It's a very reversible decision if you come to Synchro.
Right.
So you could try it, and it's like there's not really much risk other than like the hassle of migrating. But I mean, you'd have that on any platform.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks so much for popping on here with me today, Ian. I would love to have you back anytime.
Sure.
So you know how to reach me. And for those of you listening, thanks so much. And I will catch you all at the next